Hi there, I'm Kate Kraft. I'm the Residency Program Director for University of Michigan Urology, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time to share with you some of the nuts and bolts about our program. So our mission is to train clinically well-rounded urologists who are uniquely poised and motivated to become the next generation of innovators and leaders in the field of urology. And we define leader as whatever you make of it. You could be a leader in a large academic practice or in a smaller rural practice. You can be a leader in the C-suite or a leader in the operating room. We just want to ensure that we train those who will help to shape and change our field of urology for the better in service to our patients. So we take our academic tripartite mission in excellence in clinical care, research, and education very seriously, and we impart this into our residents throughout their training as well. This is our current leadership team. We have Dr. Palpatu, who serves as our chair, Dr. Hollenbach, who is our vice chair. I am the residency program director, and Dr. Hafez is the associate chair for education. We have a large team of associate program directors. Dr. Ambani has been my right-hand man for the last 5 years. And we recently onboarded 3 new associate program directors who have very special interests in many different areas of residency training. Dr. Barbolio Romo, who also serves as our senior clerkship director, Dr. Blair, and Dr. Gupta. So they say it takes a village, and we have a very large department. We have 22 residents, over 50 clinical faculty. But these folks here are really those that are boots on the ground, if you will, taking care of our residents, ensuring that their educational experience is the best and that they develop professionally and personally all throughout their residency journey. We have our program evaluation committee that meets quarterly to look at opportunities for improving our program. We have our clinical competency committee that helps to promote our residents throughout their training. We have our core educational faculty, and this is a group of faculty unique to University of Michigan who oversee the clinical rotations. They design goals and objectives for each of the rotations, they onboard our residents at the beginning of each of their rotations. They provide feedback throughout the rotation, both summative as well as formative. And at the end of the rotation, we'll provide a summative evaluation. We also have 3 clinical fellowships that include endourology, FPMRS, and oncology. And I often get the question, well, do fellowships take away from the residency training experience? And I would say absolutely not. The fellowships actually augment our residents' clinical training. Our residents feel very strongly that they really enjoy working with fellows and having a little bit more autonomy, being able to do so, of course, with supervision from our faculty. So we currently have 21 clinical residents. We are a 5-year program with an optional 6-year surgeon scientist track, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. We also have the first recipient of the Physician Scientist Residency Training Award from the American Urological Association and the Urology Care Foundation. And Joel Behrens is the recipient of that award. We are the first residency program to receive this award from the AUA, which really speaks to the depth and breadth of our research experience for our resident team. Joel is engaged in a special program in which he will conduct 3 years of research. So he's currently in his 2nd year of research. And after next year, we'll resume his final 3 years of clinical training for a total of 8 years with us. We have a very robust faculty mentorship program for our residents. When our residents hit the door as interns, they're immediately paired with a faculty mentor who helps shepherd them throughout their residency training, both professionally as well as personally, ensuring their success. Our residents rotate at 5 different clinical sites. The university hospital is where they spend most of their time. This is a traditional classic academic site. Then we have our Children's Hospital, where our residents, of course, spend their time on their pediatric urology rotation. We have the St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, or St. Joe's as we call it, which is a community hospital down the road. And the educators at this hospital are not faculty within our department. They are private practice, community practice urologists, but they are extremely committed to education. And this rotation is always touted as one of the favorites among our residents. Our residents serve our veterans at the Ann Arbor VA. And we last year started having our residents rotate at what we call Chelsea, St. Joseph Mercy Chelsea Hospital, which is another community-based hospital, but with a slightly more unique structure in that our faculty from our department actually spend some of their time there. So it has a bit of a hybrid academic and community practice field. This is just a quick overview of our clinical rotations. So our interns spend about 7 months with our general surgery team and 5 months on urology. So a really great introduction to urology up front. And we are fortunate to have an extremely collaborative relationship with our general surgery team. So our surgery education leadership team really takes great care of our interns. In the PGY2 year, our residents spend some time as what we call the urology intern, where they oversee inpatients. They spend time rotating on consults in the inpatient setting at the University Hospital. We also have 2 smaller, shorter rotations called open skills and ambulatory surgery, which are relatively recent additions over the past couple of years to allow our junior residents some exposure to basic open skills and be able to scrub on big open cases, as well as have some exposure to what it's like to perform procedures in the ambulatory setting. And then our PGY2s also join the VA team for 3 months. Our PGY3s join the AUH, or AGC as it's often called, rotation, which is andrology and general urology. And this is their primary exposure to infertility, erectile dysfunction, and then other andrology diseases and disorders. We also have a short rotation called the MIS rotation, minimally invasive surgery, which allows our residents to have some early exposure to learning the basics of laparoscopy and robotic surgery. We have a night float system, and our PGY3 spend 8 weeks on night float, covering overnight consults and ensuring that we don't have a burdensome on-call schedule for the weekend. So our night float time is Sunday through Thursday nights. Our PGY3s also come to the Children's Hospital to have their first pediatric rotation, and they return to the VA to join the team there. Our PGY4s spend time on the lap endo service, or laparoscopy and endourology service, where they perform procedures like complex PCNLs, conventional laparoscopy, lots of benign upper and lower tract robotic surgery. They return to the night float rotation for 5 weeks. They also join what we call the NPR service, the Neurourology and Pelvic Reconstruction Service, which is comprised of both FPMRS and GURS trained faculty. So our residents get a lot of experience with reconstruction and taking care of our neurourology population. We also have 1 month of float, and our PGY4s are allowed to choose where they want to spend that time, whether it's on a different urology service or on another service. For example, many of our residents have chosen to spend time with plastic surgery, interventional radiology, transplant surgery. So we are happy to engage colleagues in the different specialties to allow for that. And it's often a really, really well-received experience. And then our PGY4s return to finish their PEDS experience, and they rotate for 3 months at St. Joe's, again, the community hospital I mentioned earlier. Finally, in the chief year, our chiefs return to the NPR service. They spend they spend several months on oncology at the University Hospital. They lead the team at the VA, and they also spend some time at Chelsea, again, another community-based experience. So I mentioned the 6-year surgeon scientist track. We match into this track every other year, and we are planning to match into this track this coming match cycle for match 2023. So if you are interested in this, then there's a separate application for this in the supplemental application through ERAS. And the structure of this is essentially after the PGY3 year, the person who has matched into this track will enter into one protected year of research and then return for the final 2 years of training. And there are many different surgical training experiences that they can choose from, including basic science, translational science, health services research, and surgical education. And Brandy Branch is our first recipient or first matched resident of this track. And so she is currently a PGY2 and will be deciding over the course of this year how she'll be spending her research time after next year. So a bit about our curriculum. We of course have traditional grand rounds every week. Our faculty deliver lectures. Our residents deliver conferences to each other. We also have point counterpoints, which are debates that our residents engage in with faculty mentorship. We have mock oral boards, 2 versions of this. One is kind of a round robin of oral board type questions that are delivered by faculty in a conference room setting based on a particular topic. And we also have a more formal mock oral board session that we conduct every spring that really mimics the certification exam. We try to create that experience so that our residents aren't foreign to it by the time they get to the actual real ABU certifying exam, since it is a little bit of a different format. We also have several different surgical skills curricula that I'll go into and training labs that accompany that. Before I launch into the training lab discussion, I just wanted to also share that each of those curricular experiences I mentioned are based on a modular-based curriculum. So what that means is that we have our residents immersed in a particular topic for 1 to 2 months. So for example, all of the resident lectures, faculty lectures, point, counterpoint, debates, etc., will be centered around BPH for 1 to 2 months, or prostate cancer, or undescended testis, or other pediatric topics. And so allowing our residents to kind of really immerse in a particular topic for a short period of time allows them to get very familiar with the material. So going back to our curricular labs, this is a relatively recent photo from one of our prosthetic cadaver labs led by Dr. Malib, who's one of our GURS trained faculty. So we conduct a cadaver lab every year so that our residents get some hands-on experience. And this is tailored more toward our mid-level and more senior level residents, and then our junior residents use the opportunity to be in the lab to help to practice their open surgical skills as well. So everyone gets an opportunity to learn. We also have an endo-urology lab where we introduce our residents to the cysto suite and the endo equipment, since they spend a lot of time in the cysto suite when they're junior residents. We have an extremely robust robotic curriculum that's led by Uni Blair, and she has partnered with other institutions to help create a really robust collaborative experience. We are really thankful to her for having built what I would consider probably one of the most robust robotic surgical curricula for our residents. We also make day-to-day work really fun. So Dr. Juan is one of my partners in pediatric urology. And for the last 13 years or so, he has created what we call the consult competition, or Tour de Consult, because it's kind of modeled after the Tour de France. And essentially, this is a really fun competition in which our residents are broken up into teams, and they get points for every consult that they see. So it makes work fun, makes seeing every consult worthwhile. And Dr. Juan rewards our residents at the end of every academic year with pretty sweet prizes. So it's well worth the work and investment. So you can see that ever since we started the Tour de Consult, that the number of consults has gone up. Is this because the number of urology patients has gone up, or the motivation has gone up? I don't know. You be the judge. But again, it's a really fun way to make the day-to-day work really enjoyable. We have a very well-organized quality improvement curriculum as well. That's led by Dr. Saj Musa, Krauser, and Gupta. And the way that this is structured is they provide kind of the basics, the nuts and bolts, if you will, of the plan, do, study, act, QI cycle for our residents. And then our resident team, as they rotate through the VA, will start one aspect of that cycle. So for example, the first team to rotate for the first quarter will design the project, identify a problem, design the project. And then the second team will come in and implement the project. The next team will study it, and then the last team will rethink it. So that it allows for some teamwork kind of longitudinally, and it allows our entire resident team to think about the QI process. So let's talk a little bit about our research experience. Our residents are very fortunate to share their scholarly work really across the nation. So we have really great representation at regional and national conferences. We also support travel for our residents for their research. So if they do have an abstract accepted, then we will gladly fund travel for them to share their work. We also offer the opportunity for our residents to have 3, as we call them, freebie conferences. So if there's a particular area in which our residents want to learn more, then we will fund them to be able to attend that conference at least, or to a maximum, of 3 times throughout their residency. So in terms of what we offer for research, we do have protected time. I mentioned the 6-year track, and then of course, Joel Barron's experience with the AUA Physician Scientist Residency Training Award. But for our 5-year residents, we also implemented a program in which we offer them a half day of protected time per week that's built in ad hoc depending on how the current rotation that they're on is structured. So for example, if a resident is on a pediatric urology service, then they can spend a Tuesday morning conducting research and being excused from clinical duties. And it's understood by the entire pediatrics team that the resident will not be there for that time because they're on their research time. And this allows our resident team to engage in research in a longitudinal way, but also to learn how to balance with clinical and research duties, which in reality, if you engage in research in your career, will be how your career is structured. We have very robust research didactics that are led by Aruna Sarma, who's our chief of our Dow Division of Health Services Research, and Stephanie Daynault Newton, who is our chief biostatistician for our department. And with that said, we do have 2 full-time biostatisticians who help support our residents in their work. So our residents don't have to scramble to find statistical support, but it's always there. And they conduct office hours to help review their projects with them. And those office hours are conducted on a regular basis. Essentially, the way our residents sign up for them ahead of time, and then they bring their questions over the course of 10 to 15 minutes with a one-to-one, and essentially try to move their work forward in a very quick and efficient manner. Every spring, we have what we call Resident Research Day, which is an afternoon spent celebrating our residents' research. Our residents are each responsible for selecting a project that they will present. And there's a panel of judges that will select the 5 clinical prize finalists. And then there's the opportunity for our residents to earn clinical prizes, which is pretty nice incentive for conducting great research. It's also a great way to build community and to share what everyone is working on. We invite 2 visiting professors as part of this, and they not only serve as judges, but also deliver brief talks to sharing their research journeys with us. And I mentioned that we do fund conference travel to support our residents sharing their work. This is our research team as far as faculty goes. So Dr. Clemens is our associate chair for research and really helps to oversee the research experience for our residents. Dr. Sarma, as I mentioned, is our Dow Division of Health Services Research chair, and she's a clinical epidemiologist by training, but she is just really hands-on with helping our resident team in terms of learning clinical research methodology. And then I mentioned Stephanie Daynault Newton, who is our chief biostatistician and helps not only helps teach our residents, but also helps support to provide statistical support for their work. So there are a lot of different research opportunities for our resident team. You heard me mention we have basic science, translational science, lots of health services research. We also have recently engaged in a lot of surgical education research. And one opportunity that's always favored by our residents is working with the Michigan Urological Surgery Improvement Collaborative. So for those that aren't familiar with music, this is essentially a quality improvement collaborative that was started by the University of Michigan, but has spread across all practices, or I should say nearly all practices across the state of Michigan in terms of improving the urologic care that we deliver our patients in the state of Michigan. And as such, there are very rich data sets that allow our resident team to ask and try to answer questions about how they can improve urologic care. So this is a great opportunity to engage in some health services and quality improvement research. Other unique features of our program, we have a very well thought out wellness program that's centered around 5 different domains: physical health, social connection, mental health, humanitarianism, and work-life integration. And our goal is to conduct at least one event each year that's centered around one of these domains. So for example, for physical health, at the end of the year, we always have a fitness event to celebrate the end of the year. Our residents also have a fitness session scheduled at the end of the summer with Dr. Palpatu. We offer Headspace, which is a mindfulness app. And actually, on the institutional level, our GME office has recently partnered with the American Medical Association to offer a really rich toolkit of wellness opportunities as well. And that includes Headspace as well as gym memberships and other things. So there is a lot of focus on wellness at the institutional level and not just within the department. For humanitarianism, for work-life balance, in the past we've had cooking classes at the local Sur La Table, and this just allows us not only to learn how to make healthy meals efficiently, but also to bring us together. And then for humanitarianism, every year we have an event at a local food bank where we package food for those in need. And again, it's a great way to get together. We also have other unique opportunities that we're building, including our recent inaugural Chang Art and Medicine experience, which is an opportunity for our residents to learn about both medicine and the arts by engaging experts in the arts here at the University of Michigan. So for example, we recently had our first experience in which we learned about workplace ergonomics for surgeons, and then we invited an expert in dance to lead a body alignment workshop. So that was a great opportunity for combining interests in medicine and art while also focusing on well-being. We also are very focused on DEI efforts. We recognize that the current workforce in urology does not reflect the patients that we serve, and we can do better to improve diversity in our field. Our diversity chair, our associate chair for diversity is Mimi Go, and she is really dynamic and leading many different ventures in this space, not the least of which is helping to support Euroversity, which is a program that was designed by our very own Christian Black, one of our PGY3 residents. And this allows our medical students at University of Michigan to have the opportunity to spend time in a longitudinal program and be paired with mentors, both faculty mentors as well as resident mentors, and to be exposed to urology early on in their career. So for example, we try to get them into the clinic, doing research projects, conducting Foley placement workshops and things like that, so that we can help foster interest within urology in those that are underrepresented in our field. We also have the Michigan Urology Academy, which is a virtual conference that's held each spring. And this is available to any medical student across the country, any year. And the goal is to help foster interest in urology for those that are more junior and to help support applications into urology for those students that may be more senior. And this is also a great opportunity to pair students with mentors and to help create connections and build networks, even in a virtual space. So we, in the past, before the COVID era, have had several different global missions, and our hopefully ramping that back up soon as our institution allows us to continue travel. So we have had the opportunity for our residents to travel to Belize. This is one of our graduates, Zach Koloff, with Dr. Hafez, and also Kenya. This is my partner in pediatric urology, Dr. Park, with Ella Dorgay, who was one of our graduates, as well as Courtney Struer, also now my partner, but this was when she was a fellow. So in addition to this, we're building other exposures to global missions, other opportunities to global missions for our team through developing connections that we're continuing to try to foster all across the globe. We also have the Matula Leadership Program. Matula is, if you don't know what a Matula is, it's that little flask that the little medieval man in our Nesbitt logo is holding. It's a uroscopic flask, and it's what physicians used to use to make diagnoses based on the color, smell, and even taste of the urine. And so we, as a nod to our former chair, Dr. Bloom, who used to write a blog called Matula Thoughts, we developed the Matula Leadership Program. Matula stands for Michigan Academy for Training in Urology, Leadership, and Advancement. And this is a program in which we conduct sessions once each quarter centered around different topics to help build personal leadership. So for example, we've had sessions in learning about different personalities, learning how to manage conflict, learning how to manage time, and also having fireside chats with leaders at University of Michigan. We are constantly thinking of innovative ways to improve education. One way in which we've done this is by building the Simpler Collaborative. Simple is a smartphone-based app that helps provide feedback. And this is a program that we implemented. We were the first urology program to start this back in 2019. And we've built, as you can see from this map, we've built a collaborative over the course of the last several years in order to really track how our residents are gaining independence and how they're receiving feedback. So we're also engaging in research in this space, as well as in many other areas of surgical education, not the least of which is in the bottom left here, writing about our Lego exercise, and our applicants experience this, which is a team-based exercise just to help gauge different competencies. So for those of you that may be interviewing with us, it won't be the Lego exercise in the virtual space, but we'll have a creative exercise for you to engage in so that we can get to know you a little bit better. So I often get the question of where do our alumni live or practice? And this map is just showing you where over the last 6 or 7 years or so our alumni currently are. So this is not where they immediately went after graduation for fellowship necessarily, but this is actually where they are right now in practice. And you can see that we're all over, not only all over the nation, but we're actually all over the globe. We have a very robust network, alumni network, through our what we call our Nesbitt Alumni Society, named for the esteemed Reed Nesbitt, who used to be chief of urology here at Michigan. And anywhere you turn, no matter where you start your practice, you will inevitably find someone that has a direct affiliation with U of M urology, and everyone supports everyone. I think that's really part of our trademark as a department. So we are currently the number 9 department in the country for urology, and we are the number 2 residency program for urology per Doximity this year. But we don't rest on our laurels. We're constantly thinking of ways to improve, and that includes leveraging all the different resources that we have here at the University of Michigan. We're really fortunate to be part of an absolutely amazing institution. So just a few stats about Michigan. We're the number 3 public university, and we're considered number 21 in the entire world. So, when you think about all the wonderful places there are to learn and train, we are really up there at the top. We're the number 6 medical school for primary care and number 16 for research. We're not just an academic powerhouse, but an athletic powerhouse, and it's a great opportunity to kind of blow off some steam, to go to football games or to basketball games. And you'll notice that the kind of athletic analogy of it's all about the team, it permeates all throughout every aspect of University of Michigan, including our own in our department. So we really are a very not only team-based but family-based culture. Ann Arbor is a really fantastic place to live. It is a relatively small college town, about 114,000, which is actually the exact amount of people that can fit into the big house, the football stadium. So you can fit the entire city of Ann Arbor there. It's the #2 college town in the country, and it's often touted as one of the best places to live. So it's ranked #1 best place to live and #1 most educated city. There's also top public schools for those that have children and you're considering the school systems. Ann Arbor, year after year, has some of those top schools in the country. If you're looking for that more urban experience, Detroit is right down the street. So it's a great opportunity to get away, maybe go to some different restaurants, concerts, games, things like that. So a couple of highlights, we've got the Henry Ford Museum, which is essentially a nod to the history of the automobile. And this is from the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts, the Diego Rivera murals, which are absolutely breathtaking. The DIA is actually one of the best art museums in the nation, if not the world. An amazing collection, so it's definitely worth the time to go there. The Fox Theater is a place where you can see concerts and shows. And then, of course, if you're into professional sports, we've got them all. So lots of opportunities to go to games. If you're looking for outdoor activities, Michigan has one of actually the largest coastlines with all of our Great Lakes. This is from Holland State Park, one of my favorite beaches. Absolutely gorgeous in the summer, one of the best places to be. And I always joke and say the Great Lakes are much better than the ocean because there's no salt and no sharks. We also have a lot of national parks. This is Pictured Rocks up north, absolutely gorgeous. Michigan is a beautiful state. There's a lot of exploring to do, a lot of national parks, a lot of areas that are protected and understandably so because they're just gorgeous. If you're into outdoor sports, whether it's running, biking, hiking, skiing, snowshoeing, fly fishing, you can find it. There's so many outdoor opportunities and right at your fingertips here in the state of Michigan. This is one of my favorite places to go. This is the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, which is unique in that no automobiles are allowed, only bikes and horse-drawn carriages. And this is a very historic hotel that my family and I like to travel to. So I've taken the opportunity just to give you a little bit of kind of the nuts and bolts, the organization of our program and what we stand for, all of the unique opportunities that you'll find here as a trainee. But what I'm really hoping to convey in the end here is that we are truly a family here at University of Michigan. We work really hard to take care of our patients, but we also support each other, celebrate each other's successes, pick each other up when we're down. And I just hope that that comes through in this presentation and hope that you'll have the opportunity to get to know us a little bit better and to know what we're all about here at University of Michigan. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. This is my contact information. Feel free to send me an email anytime with questions. Feel free to follow us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. And go Blue.